Hey, this is Kenny for Kenny's Audiophile Record Reviews. Thank you very much for viewing my channel. Please like, subscribe. I really appreciate that. That'll help out my small channel. Hope everything is well worldwide. Hope everybody's enjoying their music. In this video, I'm going to present some albums, some of my favorite albums from 1967. It's a great year for music. The albums I'm going to show you, it's not a complete or comprehensive list. There are going to be some glaring omissions. This is just a small sample size of approximately 25 or so albums that I'm going to show you. Like I said, not complete or comprehensive, but just show you a little bit of my album from 1967, albums that were issued in 1967. So I hope you enjoy the video. And if you have some favorite albums from 1967, please list them in the comment section below. Like I said, this is not a complete or comprehensive list. So I'm going to get started with who I think is the greatest singer of all time. The female singer, that's Aretha Franklin. This is a great album. I Never Loved a Man the Way I Love You is the name of the album, and it includes her smash hit, Respect. That was an outstanding song, and this is an outstanding record, by the way. It has Dr. Feelgood on here, and really a great album by Sister Aretha Franklin. Another album I love from that year is an album called Rewind by Johnny Rivers. This album has a song, the great song, Baby I Need Your Lovin'. Johnny Rivers, Rewind, a great album from 1967. This album sounds spectacular. It really does on a nice stereo setup. And this is a UK version of the album. This is called The Moody Blues, Days of Future Past. The mix of the band and the orchestra. Includes a smash hit, Nights in White Satin and Tuesday. What a great album this is. Like I said, this is a UK version. I have several pressings of this album, United States and UK. I have it on SACD too, I believe. Great album to listen to from beginning to end. That's one of those rare albums I can listen to all the way through from beginning to end. Gotta include the Monkees in this video. Have to. Great band created for television. The Monkees. What song do I like on here the most? I think Words. Words is a great song on this album. Oh, by the way, there's a American pressing of Days of Future Past. This group, sometimes I don't think they get the hype they deserve. I really don't. You know, a lot of the hype goes to the Doors and the Beatles and the Who and the, Rolling Stones, but this group was headed by Arthur Lee, and this album is by the group Love. Forever Changes, a groundbreaking, innovative album. It was ahead of its time. It still stands up today. Has great songs like Alone Again or Old Man. You Set the Scene. I have several versions of this record. I have it on CD and SACD. I think I might have it on SACD. I gotta check. Stereo version. Love Forever Changes. One of the greatest albums ever made. This album, Groovin' by the Rascals. And this, when they were called the Young Rascals, but the Rascals, be quite frank with you, this album doesn't sound that great. They could have done a better job of mixing and recording this album, in my opinion. But I had to include it because it includes the hits, A Girl Like You and Groovin'. And how can I be sure? The songs in this album are great. Groovin' by the Young Rascals. This group is not known that well at all. They really aren't. They were on the A&M label, and they had the song that I was discovered in the late 70s, although this album came out in 1967. The name of the group is A Merry-Go-Round. The name of the song is You're a Very Lovely Woman. I think this might be a white label version of the A&M record. And the song You're a Very Lovely Woman by the Merry-Go-Round is really great, because I think they mix in an orchestra with the band. You're a Very Lovely Woman by the group The Merry-Go-Round. You gotta check these brothers out. They're pretty good. This is a collaboration, this next song, collaboration between two of the all-time greats, Frank Sinatra and Antonio Carlos Jobim out of Brazil. Francis Albert Sinatra and Antonio Carlos Jobim collaborated on this fabulous album. They did a version of The Girl from Ipanema. That's not my favorite song on this album. Two favorite songs on this album are Once I Love. That's a great vocal by Frank Sinatra, and How Insensitive. Those are the best songs on this album, I believe. I think I was vibing, grooving this album in high school. Frank Sinatra and Antonio Carlos Jobim. This group reached a huge audience. They casted a wide net, the song they had. The Chambers Brothers. The Time Has Come. What an amazing song and anthem this was. The Chambers Brothers, released in 1967. They hit it out of the park with that hit. It's an outstanding song. Now this is a very little well-known album, but I had to include it. This album includes elements of psych music and jazz and free jazz, and it was a great mix. And the name of this album is The Wizard of Oz and Other Trans Love's Trips by the West Coast Workshop. And this is a DJ copy, a promo copy of the record. And like I said, it includes elements of jazz, free jazz, and psych music. And it was superbly well done, in my opinion. This is a mono version of the record, by the way. And the songs on this album start off slow. And you got to wait for the songs to get into their, maximum vibe and groove point. You really have to wait. But this is an excellent album. I love the song here called Yellow Brick Trick. The songs on this, and also We're Off to See the Wizard, it starts off slow, and then it gets into this, somewhat of a jazz mode in that song. But like I said, you got to wait a little bit for the vibe and grooves to get to the maximum potential. But all these songs are inspired by the movie. I don't know if you can see the song listings, The Wizard of Oz. But you should check this out. I think it's on YouTube. Again, it's called The Wizard of Oz and Other Trans Love Trips by the West Coast Workshop. Check that out. I had to include these brothers on here. The Doors. Strange Days. What a great album this is. Includes the song Strange Days. When the music's over and people are strange. This version was issued by Analog Productions as a 45 RPM 2 LP set. I believe I have original pressing of this or album close to it. Brother Jimi Hendrix, Are You Experienced? The Jimi Hendrix Experience. Yeah, got on here Purple Haze, Hey Joe, Fire, and The Wind Cries Mary. What a great album this is. I have a UHQR from Analog Productions of this album as well. It sounds great. This album I'm about to show you reached a huge audience. I don't care if you like jazz, pop, R&B, classical, whatever type of music you love. This album, or this song on this album, reached a wide audience, and that was Bobby Gentry, Ode to Billy Joe. That was just an amazing song that stands the test of time more than any song, in my opinion. Bobby Gentry, Ode to Billy Joe. I wonder what happened to her. She got disappeared. I can't find any current information about Bobby Gentry on the internet at all. Some of these people do a great job of disappearing, Even in the internet age, I can't find very little information about Bobby Gentry. This is by a Brazilian great. The album is called Wave by Antonio Carlos Jobim. Now this has a easy listening vibe and groove to it. Ron Carter's on bass on this one, by the way. This has an easy listening vibe and groove to it. The song on here that I recommend is called Look to the Sky. But it's a great album that was issued on the A&M label by Antonio Carlos Jobim. The album is called Wave. This is by a jazz musician. my favorite jazz musician of all time, the trumpet player, Miles Davis. Miles Smiles. My favorite performance on this album, they featured Tony Williams fabulously on this album. Just listen closely to the drummer on this album. And there's a great song in here called, where is it? Footprints. That might be a Wayne Shorter composition. I'm not sure. This album features, obviously, Miles Davis on trumpet, Wayne Shorter tenor sax, Herbie Hancock piano, the great Herbie Hancock, Ron Carter bass, Tony Williams drums. Miles Smiles is the name of the album. I think Miles Davis' album, The Sorcerer, came out in 1967. If it did, I forgot to bring it out. But Miles Davis' Sorcerer is the name of the album. I think it might have Cicely Tyson on the cover. I should have bought that album out. I think it was issued in 1967. One of my favorite groups of all time, Sergio Mendes and Brazil 66. This is their follow-up album to their Herb Alpert Presents Sergio Mendes and Brazil 66. This is equally as good. Has a hit, Constant Rain. That's a great song, by the way. It's a cool, mellow song. You know, For Me is great. Night and Day. Sergio Mendes and Brazil 66, issued on the A&M record label. This album is a very interesting. It's like a psych album. And they it includes 12 tracks, and they go through the months of the year, the zodiac. And the name of this album is called The Zodiac Cosmic Sounds, Celestial Counterpoint with Words and Music. And it's like a psych album. And they have this narrator. And the narrator, it sounds like, for those of you who are used to watching the NFL highlight show by NFL Films, it was a weekly show where they showed highlights of the previous week's games, and they had this announcer who narrated or described the action on the field. His name was John Facenda, I believe his name. And the narrator on this album sounds very similar to John Facenda, to the point where I thought it was him. It's not. But this is a fabulous album to listen to. It's a nice psych album. This album was produced by Alex Hasselev. I'm probably mispronouncing his name. But he was a member of the group The Limelighters. The Limelighters also included Glen Yarborough in the center. And Glen Yarborough had that hit. I think it was called Baby, the Rain Must Fall or something like that. Glen Yarborough had a sweet voice. Really, I was able to meet him on occasion in the early 90s. He really was a nice man. Surrealistic Pillow. Jefferson Airplane featuring Grace Slick. She was beautiful in those days. She probably could have been a model. I think she might have been a model. But this includes a hit, White Rabbit. It's a tremendous song, but my favorite song on this album is called Coming Back to Me. Coming Back to Me. Jefferson Airplane. What a great album this was. One of my favorite groups of all time. It's called Make It Happen by Smokey Robinson and the Miracles. Includes the song Tears of a Clown. And More Love is my favorite song on this album. Good album. Issued by Motown, Tamla label, I should say. Smokey Robinson and the Miracles. Had to include this album from 1967, obviously the Beatles, Sgt. Pepper's. My favorite song on this album, She's Leaving Home. It's not even close. Sgt. Pepper's, the Beatles. Another little known group, one of my favorite groups, because they some of their vocal performances by the lead singer, I think her last name is Bivens. I'm probably wrong on that, but the name of the group is We Five, and the name of the album is Make Someone Happy. And they have a great version, this song High Flying Bird. I think the lead singer does a spectacular job on that song. And they do a great version of the song Somewhere. We Five, Make Someone Happy. This album is a jazz album, and it's one of my favorite jazz albums of all time. Cannonball Adderley, and the quintet Mercy, 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 live at the club. This album was actually recorded at the Capitol Studios, I believe, in Hollywood. It was revealed years later. Cannonball Adderley, live at the club. It includes a smash hit, instrumental hit, that made the top 40, and it's called Mercy, Mercy, Mercy. Cannonball Adderley Quintet, Mercy, 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 live at the club. Mercy, Mercy, Mercy was composed by piano player and keyboard player and organ player Joe Zawinul, and he was a member of the Cannonball Adderley Quintet. Joe Zawinul went on to be a founding member of the group, the groundbreaking group, Weather Report, jazz fusion group Weather Report. That was a few years later. The Cannonball Adderley Quintet, Mercy, 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 live at the club. You ought to check out Mercy, Mercy, Mercy if you're young and haven't heard it before. There was an instrumental version of that song by a group, the Buckinghams. I think it was the same year. It could have been the same year. You had an instrumental version of Mercy, 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 which was just as good, if not good as the, they had a vocal version. I'm sorry. The Buckinghams had a vocal version of the song Mercy, Mercy, Mercy that was just as good as the instrumental version of the song. Disraeli Gears, Ginger Baker, Bruce, Eric Clapton. Includes Strange Brew, Sunshine of Your Love. What a super group they were. Jack Bruce, Ginger Baker, Eric Clapton. It's too bad these dudes didn't stay together for a while. It's a shame. How do you include this? Glen Campbell and the smash hit By the Time I Get to Phoenix. He had this run of great hits for a period of time. I think he had songs like Wichita Lineman and By the Time I Get to Phoenix, and several other ones. Rhinestone Cowboy, he had his own TV show in the 70s. This dude was hotter than hot, I think in the early to mid 70s. Glen Campbell, By the Time I Get to Phoenix. And a couple of CDs I have, that jazz ones that were issued in 1967. One of my videos I did, and I mentioned there's this Stan Getz album called, what's it called? I forgot the name of the album. But anyway, one of my viewers mentioned this CD when I mentioned that Stan Getz album. The Stan Getz album is called Focus. Focus is the name of that album. I think Focus is the greatest Stan Getz album of all time. But this one's right behind it. One of my viewers mentioned this album. And this is a very spectacular jazz album that features Stan Getz on tenor sax, Ron Carter bass, Grady Tate on drums, an underrated drummer and an underrated singer as well, and Chick Corea on piano. And they have a fabulous version of a song called Windows. I believe that's a Chick Corea composition. Chick Corea went on to be a co-founder of the amazing group Return to Forever. Stan Getz, Sweet Rain. You should definitely check this out. I thought I had this on LP format, but I don't. I'm going to have to fix that. I'm going to have to get this on LP because I bet it sounds tremendous. This is a tremendous effort by Stan Getz. And the last one, this is called Symphony for Improvisers by Don Cherry. This is a free jazz effort, and Don Cherry plays the cornet. It also includes Gato Barbieri on tenor sax, Pharoah Saunders, the great Pharoah Saunders, on tenor sax and piccolo, and a few other musicians. The vibes player on this, you can, at least I think it's a vibes player, when he's playing, you can hear his voice. And this is, when I listen to this, the term organized confusion comes to play, because this is a tremendous, very intricate, very detailed, very ambitious free jazz effort. It really is tremendous if you like free jazz. This is one of my favorite jazz albums of all time, Don Cherry, Symphony for Improvisers. Definitely check that out if you like jazz. But that's just a small sample size of some of the music that I love and enjoy. In 1967, I was 6 going on 7. And I do remember a lot of these hits. You must have heard them on the radio. And brings back a lot of great memories, as well as some of these vintage TV shows. I wish I could do a video on TV, vintage TV shows and movies, but I can't because there's a music channel. But you have here Diana Rigg from The Avengers, The Man from U.N.C.L.E., Mission Impossible, and The Avengers as well with Patrick McNee, Diana Rigg. I used to love I Spy and all those great, Get Smart, all those great shows. I wish I could do a show on vintage television and stuff like that. That's what I'm very knowledgeable about as well, but there's a music channel. So, but at any rate, please leave your favorite albums from 1967 or songs in the comment section below. Thank you very much for viewing my video. And again, for those of you who are new to my channel, please like and subscribe. That'll help me out. Thank you for viewing. God bless, strong love, and keep it peace worldwide.